It is not you who decides when to awaken. Awakening decides on you, and when it comes, you will realize it has always been waiting. Have you noticed how the deepest truths arrive not when you demand them, but when you least expect them? You may hear the same words 100 times, nod politely, even forget them, and then one day they strike you like lightning. The universe has its own timing. It whispers, waits, and only when you are ripe, when your heart has softened, do you hear it. This is why I often say, truth is not something you chase down. It is something that finds you. Just as a flower blooms in its season, so do you awaken in yours. And God, by which I do not mean an old man in the sky, but the very intelligence of existence itself knows precisely when you are ready. What you call coincidence, what you call synchronicity, is really life's way of delivering the right message at the right time. The book that falls from the shelf, the sentence overheard at just the right moment, the teacher you meet by chance. Perhaps you've had this experience. You hear a piece of music once, and it passes through you without much effect. Years later, you hear it again, and suddenly it feels as if the composer wrote it for your life alone, as if it had been waiting in silence for this very moment. What has changed? Not the music. You have changed. You have grown. You have suffered. You have loosened. And so the words can enter. Readiness is not a matter of intelligence. It is a matter of ripeness. Apples do not fall from the tree because they are clever. They fall because they are ready. Now here is the strange thing. All along, the truth was there. All along, the lessons waited. But until your eyes adjusted, you could not see. This is why some of you listening now may feel as though you were meant to be here, that somehow these words are arriving not by accident but by design. And yet, design is too heavy a word. Let us say instead, rhythm. The rhythm of life placed this moment here as a note in a symphony. And the symphony plays not according to your will, but according to its own mysterious order. This is what we mean when we say, God knows you are ready. Not that some external authority is keeping score, doling out wisdom to the deserving. Rather, that the universe unfolds you like a fern, one spiral at a time. And only when the leaf has unfurled enough can the next revelation be seen. Trying to hurry this is useless. To force awakening is like tugging on a bud, hoping it will bloom faster. It only tears the petals. Instead, we learn patience. We trust that when the moment is ripe, the fruit will fall into our hands. But here is the difficulty. We live in a culture that worships speed, control, and achievement. We think if only we read enough books, attend enough seminars, practice enough techniques, we can force enlightenment upon ourselves. But you see, the whole attempt is like trying to make yourself fall asleep by sheer effort. The harder you try, the more awake you become. Awakening, like sleep, comes only when you stop grasping. It comes when you surrender. When you stop digging at the soil, the seed begins to sprout on its own. So you must understand, readiness is not created by effort alone. Readiness ripens naturally through your living, through your heartbreaks, through your failures, through your moments of wonder and despair. Each experience softens you, wears you down, and in that softening, truth can seep through the cracks. If you are listening to these words now, it may be that you have lived enough, lost enough, or simply paused enough, that some part of you has become porous, and so the wisdom flows in as water fills an open cup. Now, many people think of God as a being outside themselves, handing out blessings or punishments. But I tell you, God is the very process of your unfolding. God is that intelligence which arranges the galaxies, orchestrates the tides, and whispers through the beating of your heart. It is not that God suddenly chooses you when you are ready. It is that you and God are the same rhythm, the same pulse. And when your pulse aligns with the greater pulse, the message arrives. You cannot miss it because it is already inside you. Think of music. The notes mean nothing when played at the wrong time. Strike the violin too early, and it is noise. Strike it at the right moment, and it is beauty. Life is the same. The truth delivered too early is chaos. Delivered in its time, it is revelation. That is why teachers across the centuries have said, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. But really, the teacher was always there. The difference is that now you can hear them. Now, you are tuned to the right frequency. But let us go further. Why were you not ready before? Because unreadiness is part of readiness. You cannot appreciate light without having known darkness. You cannot understand peace without having felt turmoil. What you call mistakes, delays, detours, are in fact the soil in which readiness grows. Without them, you would never ripen. So do not regret the time it took you to arrive here. That wandering was the path. That confusion was the preparation. Even the moments when you thought you were furthest from truth were the very moments bending you toward it. So, if you find yourself here, listening, do not imagine it is coincidence. Life is far too playful for mere accident. It is as though the universe has been quietly arranging things behind the curtain, nudging events and weaving circumstances, until finally you could hear. This is not destiny in the rigid sense, as though everything were carved in stone. No, it is more like a dance. You step, the universe responds. You resist, it waits. You open, it pours in. Timing is not imposed, it is co-created between you and the whole. And here lies another paradox. You cannot force readiness, but you can prepare the ground. Just as a farmer cannot make the rain fall, but can plow the field, sow the seed, and clear the weeds. Readiness is the harvest of patience. By quieting the mind, by loosening the grip of ego, by living fully in joy and in sorrow, you soften the soil of your being. And when the rain comes, when the message arrives, it does not bounce off hardened ground, but sinks deeply, transforming you from within. Have you ever looked back on a moment and thought, if I had heard this then, I wouldn't have understood it? That is the proof. Life withholds, not to punish, but to protect. To reveal truth too early is to drown you in it. Imagine handing a child a book of advanced philosophy. They may flip through it, but it will mean nothing. Only later, when their mind and heart have stretched, will those same words bloom like fireworks. So too, with the lessons of your own life, they wait until your vessel can hold them. This is why you must trust the unfolding. If something has not come, it is not yet your time. If a door has not opened, it is because the room inside would overwhelm you. Trust that what you need will arrive when you are able to receive it. And when it does, you will marvel at the perfection of its timing. The heartbreak that seemed meaningless suddenly becomes the soil for compassion. The delay that frustrated you becomes the pause that saved you. The waste of time becomes the very season that ripened your soul. Some of you may still be restless, saying, but I want to awaken faster, I want to know sooner. But see, this wanting is itself the obstacle. Awakening does not come by demand. It comes by surrender. When you grasp, you close your hand. And when your hand is closed, nothing can be placed in it. Only when you open, when you release your desperate need for control, does the gift arrive. And here is the irony. The moment you stop demanding enlightenment, enlightenment slips quietly in through the back door. Think of falling in love. You cannot schedule it, cannot plot it, cannot demand it. It happens when it happens, often when you least expect it. But you can prepare yourself for it by being open, by being honest, by being alive. Awakening is like this. It sneaks upon you in an ordinary moment, a sunset, a laugh, sudden silence, and suddenly everything is illuminated. You realize you have been ready all along, and only your resistance delayed the recognition. Readiness is not about adding something. It is about removing the walls you built against it. So perhaps you are asking, if God knows when I am ready, what is my role? Your role is to live fully, messily, beautifully, to stumble and get up again, to love and to lose, to weep and to laugh. All of this is the plowing of the soil. All of this prepares you for the moment when the truth can bloom. You need not worry about when it comes. That is not your business. Your business is simply to live, and in the living, you ripen. And when you are ripe, the fruit falls naturally. A student once came to a Zen master and demanded enlightenment. He said, I have studied, I have meditated, I have fasted, and still the truth escapes me. The master simply poured tea into his cup, and when the cup overflowed, he kept pouring. The student cried, Stop! Can't you see the cup is full? And the master replied, Exactly. How can truth enter when you are so full of yourself? The lesson was simple. Readiness requires emptiness. Only when you empty your cup can it be filled. Are you willing to be empty? To admit you do not know? To let go of your defenses? To allow yourself to be vulnerable? This is readiness. It is not about becoming more clever, more spiritual, more accomplished. It is about becoming spacious. Spacious enough for truth to land. Spacious enough for God, or life, or the universe, whatever word you prefer to pour itself into you. The paradox is that you do not create readiness by effort, but by letting go of effort, by allowing yourself to simply be. And here is the beauty. When you are ready, you do not have to go searching. The truth comes to you. It comes in a conversation, in a silence, in a poem, in a piece of music. It comes in laughter, in heartbreak, in the turning of the seasons. It does not matter the form. What matters is the recognition. And when it comes, you will know it. You will feel as though the universe has been speaking to you all along. But only now could you finally hear. If you are listening to this now, perhaps it is because you are ready. Ready not in some dramatic, final sense, but ready for the next step, the next unfolding. Readiness is not once and for all. It is wave after wave. Each lesson prepares you for the next. Each awakening is but the door to a deeper one. And so you go on, not arriving, but unfolding, like a lotus that opens petal by petal. The flower does not rush to bloom. It trusts the sun, the rain, and its own mysterious timing. Now remember, to be ready does not mean life will suddenly become easy. Quite the opposite. Readiness often means you are strong enough to face deeper truths, truths that may unsettle you, even frighten you. But fear not. If they have come, it is because you are able. Life does not hand you burdens you cannot carry. What it gives you is always in proportion to your capacity. So if the truth feels heavy, it is only because you have grown strong enough to bear it. And in bearing it, you will grow stronger still. What should you do now? Nothing extraordinary. Simply listen. Simply live. Allow these words to settle like seeds. Do not rush to pluck them into meaning. Let them germinate in their own time, for perhaps you will forget them tomorrow.
You see, there's something rather peculiar that happens when you begin to wake up. When you stop playing the game quite so seriously, when you see through the great cosmic joke of it all, you become, how shall I put it, inconvenient. You become an irritation to those who are still fast asleep, still clutching desperately to their roles, their masks, their carefully constructed sense of who they think they are. It's not that you're trying to bother anyone. Quite the opposite. You're simply being. You're breathing. You're walking through life with a certain lightness, a certain freedom. But that very freedom, that very peace you carry, it disturbs something in others. It rattles their cages. And they don't even know why. Have you noticed this? You walk into a room, perfectly calm, perfectly friendly, and someone looks at you as if you've just insulted their entire family. You haven't said a word. You haven't done anything wrong. But your very presence seems to set off some invisible alarm in their nervous system. What's happening here? Why does your peace make them so uncomfortable? Why does your refusal to play the social games cause such strange reactions? Well, let me tell you what's really going on. When you awaken, when you see through the illusion of the separate self, when you stop identifying with the ego and all its desperate demands, you become a mirror. And mirrors, as you know, can be terribly uncomfortable things. They show people what they don't want to see. Not because you're judging them, not because you're trying to make them feel bad, but simply because you exist in a different way now. You're not playing by the old rules. And that makes the ego in others very, very nervous. So let's talk about the 5 ways people's egos will react to your awakening. Not so you can feel superior, mind you. That would just be your own ego sneaking back in through the side door. But so you can understand what's happening. So you can respond with compassion instead of confusion. So you can continue to walk your path without being thrown off by these reactions. When you stop defending yourself, when you stop justifying your choices, when you simply say no without a paragraph of reasons, something strange happens. People get upset. They demand explanations. They want you to prove that you have a good reason for living the way you live. You see, the ego loves to judge. It loves to evaluate, to measure, to determine whether someone else's choices meet its approval. And when you refuse to play this game, when you don't offer your life up for inspection, the ego feels robbed. It feels as though you're being rude, unfair, even arrogant. But here's the thing. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your existence. You don't need permission to be. You don't have to justify your peace, your choices, your way of moving through the world. When you're asleep, you probably spent enormous amounts of energy trying to make others understand you, trying to prove that you were living correctly. But now you've seen through that trap. You've realized that no amount of explaining will satisfy the ego's hunger for control. So what happens? People get irritated. They accuse you of thinking you're better than them. They say you've become distant, cold, difficult to reach. But you haven't changed in the way they think. You simply stopped performing. You stopped auditioning for a role in their drama. And the beautiful thing is, you don't need to argue about it. You don't need to defend your refusal to defend yourself. You simply smile, perhaps, and go about your business, like water flowing around a rock. The rock can complain all it wants, but the water just keeps flowing. Number 2. They will test you to see if you're real. This is a curious one. When people sense that you've found something, some kind of peace or clarity they haven't found, they often can't resist testing it. It's like when you tell someone you're not bothered by something, and they immediately try to bother you about that very thing. They poke, they prod, they say things designed to get a reaction. Why do they do this? Because the ego in them wants to prove that you're just pretending. It wants to show that underneath your calm exterior, you're just as anxious, just as reactive, just as trapped as they are. If they can get you to break, to lose your composure, to snake back at them, then they can dismiss what you represent. They can go back to sleep feeling justified. You might find people bringing up old arguments, mentioning things they know used to upset you, creating situations designed to push your buttons. A colleague at work might suddenly start criticizing everything you do. A family member might bring up that one topic they know always started fights. A friend might make comments about how you've changed, how you're not fun anymore, how you take yourself too seriously, or not seriously enough. And here's what's marvelous about this. If you react, if you get defensive or angry or upset, their ego wins. It gets to say, see, I knew it, you're not really at peace, you're just putting on an act. But if you don't react, if you remain calm and present, their ego gets even more irritated. Because now it can't dismiss you. Now it has to face the possibility that what you have might be real. So what do? You let them test. You let them poke and prod, not because you're trying to prove anything, but because you genuinely aren't bothered anymore. You've seen through the dream. You know that their testing is just their own fear speaking, their own ego trying to protect itself from the possibility of change. Number 3, they will gossip and create stories about you. When you stop participating in the constant drama of social life, when you stop gossiping, stop complaining, stop playing the games of alliance and betrayal, something interesting happens. You become a subject of gossip yourself. People will create stories about you. They'll say you think you're better than everyone else. They'll say you've become strange, disconnected, too spiritual, not grounded. They'll wonder what's wrong with you, what happened to make you so different. And they'll discuss all of this behind your back, weaving theories and explanations for your behavior. Why does this happen? Because the ego needs to make sense of things. When someone steps outside the usual patterns, the ego in others becomes uncomfortable. It needs to categorize, to label, to put you in a box it can understand. And if it can't find a box that fits, it will create one. Usually a box that makes you seem flawed, or foolish, or misguided in some way. You might hear through others that people are saying you've had some kind of breakdown, or that you're going through a phase, or that you've joined some weird spiritual cult. The stories will vary, but they'll all have one thing in common. They'll all be attempts to explain away what's happening with you in a way that protects their own worldview. And here's the thing. You cannot stop this. You cannot control what others say about you. If you try, if you go around defending yourself, correcting the stories, setting the record straight, you'll exhaust yourself. You'll be pulled right back into the drama you've been trying to step away from. The awakened response is to let them talk. Let them create their stories. Let them gossip and theorize and worry about you if they want to. Their stories have nothing to do with you anyway. Their stories about their own fears, their own resistance to change, their own unwillingness to question the game they're playing. As they say, what others think of you is none of your business. And it really isn't. You are not the character in their story. You are simply you, walking your path, being present, living with awareness. The rest is just noise. Number 4. They will try to pull you back into old patterns. This one can be particularly tricky, especially with people you've known for a long time. Family members, old friends, people who knew you before you woke up. They remember the old you. The you who played the games, who got upset about the things they got upset about, who participated in all the usual dramas. And now you've changed. You don't react the same way. You don't get pulled into the same arguments. You don't play your old role in the family dynamic or the social group. And this makes them uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. So what do? They try to pull you back. They'll bring up old memories, trying to remind you of who you used to be. They'll invite you into old patterns of relating. They'll create situations where you're expected to play your old part. And if you don't, they'll express hurt or confusion or frustration. A mother might say, you used to tell me everything what happened. A friend might complain that you're not the same person anymore, that you've lost your sense of humor, that you're no fun. A sibling might accuse you of thinking you're too good for the family now. It suggests that maybe others could change too. And that's a frightening thought for the ego. Change means uncertainty. Change means the comfortable patterns might not hold. So they resist your transformation by trying to make you the same person you used to be, but you can't go back. Even if you wanted to, you couldn't. Once you've seen through the illusion, once you've tasted real freedom, the old ways of being feel like costumes that no longer fit. You can love these people. You can be kind to them. You can spend time with them. But you cannot pretend to be someone you're not anymore just to make them comfortable. So what do? You remain present. You remain loving. But you don't take the bait. When they try to pull you into an old argument, you don't argue. When they try to make you feel guilty for changing, You don't defend yourself. You simply are who you are now, and you trust that either they'll adjust to this new way of relating, or they won't. And either way, you continue on your path. Number 5, they will feel uncomfortable in your presence. This is perhaps the most subtle and the most powerful reaction. When you've awakened, when you're no longer identified with the ego and all its games, your very presence becomes uncomfortable for those who are still deeply asleep. It's not that you're doing anything wrong. It's not that you're judging them or looking down on them or trying to make them feel bad. In fact, you might be more tamed, more present, more genuinely interested in them than you ever were before, but something about your energy, your way of being, makes them squirm. Why? Because consciousness is contagious. When you're present, when you're not caught up in the constant chatter of the mind, when you're simply being, it creates a space of stillness, a space of awareness. And in that space, other people's ego chatter becomes suddenly very loud to them. They become aware, even if just slightly, of the noise in their own heads. They become aware of their own anxiety, their own restlessness, their own constant need to be somewhere else, doing something else, being someone else. Your peace mirrors their chaos. Your stillness reflects their agitation. And instead of using this as an opportunity to question their own way of being, the ego's first instinct is to blame you for making them uncomfortable. It's your fault they feel this way. You're too serious. You're too calm. You're too quiet. Something must be wrong with you if you're not as anxious and busy and worried as they are. You might notice people don't want to sit with you in silence. They fill every gap with chatter. They ask you what you're thinking, what's wrong, why you're so quiet. They interpret your presence as judgment when it's simply presence. They project onto you their own discomfort with stillness, with silence, with simply being. And here's the beautiful paradox. The very thing that makes them uncomfortable, your awakened presence, is exactly what they need. Your stillness invites them to be still. Your peace offers them the possibility of peace. Your freedom shows them that freedom is possible. But the ego resists this invitation with everything it has, because accepting it means death to the ego. It means letting go of all the games, all the stories, all the desperate attempts to prove its existence. So some people will simply avoid you. They'll make excuses not to spend time with you. They'll drift away from your life. And that's okay. You cannot force anyone to wake up. You cannot drag them into awareness. All you can do is be who you are, and trust that those who are ready will be drawn to what you represent. Others might accuse you of being judgmental, even though you're not judging them at all. They feel judged simply by being in the presence of someone who's not playing the game anymore. Your very existence questions their choices, even though you're not saying a word about their choices. This is projection. They judge themselves and then project that judgment onto you. The awakened response is compassion, because you remember what it was like to be asleep. You remember the constant anxiety, the need to defend yourself, the exhausting game of trying to be somebody. You remember how uncomfortable it was to be around anyone who seemed to have found something you were still desperately seeking. So you don't take their discomfort personally. You don't make it mean anything about you. You simply continue to be present, to be kind, to be available if they want to talk, or be silent together. Now here's what's important to understand about all 5 of these reactions. They are not about you. They're about the other person's relationship with their own ego. When you awaken, you become a mirror. And what people see in that mirror is not you, it's themselves. They see their own fears, their own resistance, their own attachment to the game they're playing. Some will look in the mirror and feel inspired. They'll want to know what you've found. They'll ask questions. They'll be curious about this peace you seem to carry. These are the ones who are ready, who are beginning to wake up themselves. They recognize in you something they've been looking for, even if they don't know what to call it yet. But others will look in the mirror and feel threatened, and they'll react in one or more of the ways we've discussed. They'll demand explanations, test you, gossip about you, try to pull you back, or simply feel uncomfortable around you. And all of this is just the ego's way of protecting itself from the possibility of change. The woman who glares at you in the grocery store is not really seeing you. She's seeing her own discomfort reflected back at her. The colleague who constantly criticizes you is not really responding to what you do. He's responding to what your way of being says about his way of being. The family member who accuses you of thinking you're better than everyone is not really talking about you. They're talking about their own insecurity, their own fear of change. Second, you remain compassionate because you know that being asleep is suffering. You know what it's like to be trapped in the ego's games, to feel that constant low-grade anxiety, to always be defending yourself against some imagined threat. So when people react to you in these ways, you see it for what it is. Cry for help. A desperate attempt to maintain the only sense of self they know. Third, you don't dim your light to make others comfortable. This is crucial. You might be tempted, out of kindness, to go back to playing some of the old games, to pretend you're still asleep, just to fit in, just to avoid making waves. But this doesn't serve anyone. Your light, your awakened presence, is a gift to the world, even when it makes people uncomfortable, especially when it makes people uncomfortable, because that discomfort is the first step toward questioning, toward waking up. Fourth, you trust the process. You understand that awakening is not something you can give to anyone else. They have to find it themselves. Your job is not to wake anyone up. Your job is simply to be awake yourself. And in being awake, in living from that place of presence and peace, you offer a possibility. You show that another way is available. What others do with that possibility is up to them. And fifth, you keep your sense of humor about the whole thing. 'Cause really, isn't it rather funny? The great cosmic joke of it all. Here we are, consciousness pretending to be separate individuals, egos fighting with other egos, all of us forgetting that we're the same thing, looking at itself through different eyes. When you see this, when you really get the joke, you can't help but laugh. Not at others, but with them. Because we're all in this ridiculous play together. You see, the irritation people feel is not a problem to be solved. It's part of the process. It's part of how awakening spreads. One person wakes up, and their presence creates ripples. Some people surf those ripples toward their own awakening. Others resist them, build walls against them, pretend they don't feel them. But the ripples continue. The presence continues. The light continues to shine. And here's the final secret. The more you stop caring about these reactions, the more effective your presence becomes. When you're trying to prove something, trying to convince others, trying to make them see, you're still caught in the ego game. But when you simply are, when you live your life with presence and peace without any agenda, without any need for others to understand or approve, that's when the real magic happens. Because then you're not playing the game at all. You're not trying to win. You're not defending yourself. You're not even trying to wake anyone up. You're just being. And being is the most powerful thing in the world. Being is what the ego cannot withstand. Being is what gradually dissolves all the games, all the stories, all the desperate attempts to be somebody special. So let them react. Let them demand explanations. Let them test you. Let them gossip. Let them try to pull you back. Let them feel uncomfortable. It's all part of the dance. It's all part of the play. And you just keep being present, aware, free. You walk through the world like water through rocks, like wind through trees, like light through darkness. not forcing anything, not resisting anything, simply flowing, simply being. And in that simple being, you offer the most powerful teaching of all. The teaching that has no words. The teaching that cannot be explained. The teaching that irritates every ego it encounters because it shows, without saying a word, that the emperor has no clothes. That the game we're all playing is just a game. That underneath all the roles and masks and stories, there is simply this. This presence, this awareness, this being. And that, my friends, is quite enough. In a very peculiar trap. We are convinced that life is a journey, a pilgrimage, with a serious purpose at the end. And the goal is to get to that end successfully, meaning with a certain sense of virtue, of accomplishment, to have achieved something, to have left our mark. But what if the entire affair is rather more like a piece of music or a dance? The meaning of a symphony is not contained in its final chord. The meaning of the dance is not to get to a particular spot on the floor. The meaning of it all is in the playing itself, in the dancing itself. So the question I'd like to explore with you is this. What happens when we stop taking this musical, dancing, swirling, star-like existence so dreadfully seriously? You know, we have this immense burden. We walk around with a constant low-grade anxiety that we are not doing it right, that we are not living properly. We are forever preparing to live. We think, I must get through school to get a good job. I must get a good job to have a secure life. I must have a secure life to raise a family. I must raise a family so they can get through school to get a good job. It's an endless cycle of purpose, where the purpose is always elsewhere. It's never right here. It's never now. We are like people reading a novel who are only interested in getting to the last page. And so we skim. We turn the pages frantically, missing all the poetry, all the drama, all the lovely descriptions, just to see how it turns out. And then when we get there, we close the book and say, is that all? And the whole point of the book was in the reading, in the living through it. We are missing the show because we are too busy looking for the meaning behind the show. We are like a person at a concert who does not listen to the music, but instead reads the score, checking for mistakes. The music is playing all around him, and he is missing the entire point. This is what happens when life becomes a problem to be solved, rather than a reality to be experienced. We build up this enormous structure of seriousness. We have to have the right credentials. We have to have the right job title. We have to have the right kind of car, the right address. We have to be seen with the right people. It's a colossal act, a performance, and we are terrified that the audience will see through the cracks, that they will see we are just making it up as we go along. And of course we are. Everyone is. The secret that nobody ever admits is that nobody really knows what's going on. We're all just playing roles. The doctor, the lawyer, the businessman, the mother, the father. They are roles, they are games. And games are fun, so long as you don't confuse the game with your fundamental reality. The problem arises when you forget you are playing, when you think you are your role, that you are the mask. Then the game becomes a prison. It becomes serious, and you have to defend it. You have to prove you are a good, serious, upstanding, purposeful person. But what is the alternative to all this seriousness? It seems frightening. If I am not serious, if I don't have a purpose, then what am I? I become a nothing, a washout, a failure in the eyes of the world. But this is where we have a profound misunderstanding. We think the opposite of seriousness is frivolity, shallowness, a kind of irresponsible laughter. But that's not it at all. The true opposite of taking life seriously is to see it as play, to see the universe itself as fundamentally playful. Look at nature. Does it look serious to you? Look at a kitten chasing its tail. Look at waves lapping against the shore. Look at the patterns of migrating birds in the sky. Do they look like they are on a grim mission? Do the clouds look like they are filled with existential dread? No, they are simply playing. They are expressing themselves. The universe is, at heart, a musical phenomenon. It is a dance of energy. And a dance has no destination. It is its own reason for being. We have this idea that everything in nature has a purpose. The bird sings to attract a mate. The flower is bright to attract a bee. The butterfly has eye spots to scare away predators. It's all an engineering project. But this is just us projecting our own purpose-driven anxiety onto the world. Why does the bird really sing? Why does the wave really break on the shore? Why does the star really shine? Is it not perhaps for the same reason a child sings or skips? For the sheer joy of expression, for the fun of it. We say the bird sings for a purpose, to survive. But I must ask, why survive? What is that for? To sing more songs, to have more babies who will sing more songs. You see, it becomes a circular argument. It's like saying the purpose of music is to get to the end of the composition. It misses the point entirely. The Chinese have a wonderful concept, Wu Wei, often translated as non-action or effortless action. It doesn't mean doing nothing. It means acting without straining, without forcing. It is the way of water, which wears away the hardest rock by yielding. It does not strive. It simply flows. And in that flowing, it accomplishes everything. And they have another word for this attitude towards nature, purposelessness. Now, to our Western ears, that is a terrible insult. Purposeless? That's useless. That's a waste of time. But to the Chinese mind, it is the highest compliment. They look at nature and see it as purposeless. The mountains just are. The rivers just flow. They aren't going anywhere. They aren't achieving anything. They are simply expressing their own nature. And in that, they are profoundly beautiful, profound and trustworthy. We think trust means believing that nature will always give us what we want, that it will be safe and comfortable. But that's not trust. That is a demand. Real trust is like the trust you have when you throw a ball. You let go of it. You have faith in the process. You don't hold on to the ball and run to the other person and carefully place it in their hand. You throw it, you let it fly. Life requires that same kind of trust. It requires you to let go, to stop trying to hold everything so tightly, to stop trying to control every outcome. If you do not have this trust, if you do not trust nature, and by nature I mean both the world outside you and your own inner nature, what is the alternative? The alternative is what we have created. It is a world of total mistrust. It is a world where we feel nature has got to be watched. It has got to be controlled. We can't trust our own instincts, our own desires, our own emotions. They are too dangerous. They are too messy. So what do? We create authorities to manage it all. We create rules, laws, systems, bureaucracies. We create a world where the most important thing is not the living of life, but the recording of it. It is more important that your files are in order than that you are a kind person. It is more important that the university's records are perfect than that its library is full of inspiring books. We are so busy measuring life that we forget to live it. We become our own jailers. We are so afraid of making a mistake, of looking foolish, of not being serious enough, that we fence ourselves in. We create a life that is, as they say, all jail and no prisoner, a structure with nothing alive inside it. But life is inherently messy. It is inherently playful. It is inherently spontaneous. You cannot schedule a moment of awe. You cannot program a belly laugh. You cannot force a genuine insight. These things happen when you let go. They happen when you stop taking yourself so seriously. A true scholar, in the original sense, is not someone who studies to get a degree. The word scholar means leisure. A scholar was a person of leisure who studied things not because they were useful, but because they were fascinating, because they were delightful. They studied the charming irrelevances of life, the things that do not contribute directly to survival, but that make survival worthwhile. Poetry, art, music, philosophy, the patterns of stars, the shapes of shells, this is play. And if you do not have room in your life for the playful, life is not worth living. But, and this is a very important but, if the only reason you play is because it is good for you, because it helps you work better afterwards, then you are not really playing at all. You are just working in a different form. You must learn to do things that have no purpose. Pick up a pebble. Look at it. Don't try to get a sermon out of it. Don't try to make it mean something. Just enjoy its texture, its color, its shape. Just enjoy it. Do not feel you have to justify the moment by saying it advances your aesthetic understanding. Just enjoy the pebble. When you can do that, you become, strangely, a healthy human being. You become able to be a loving, helpful person. But if you can only do things because you are going to get something out of it, you are what I would call a vulture. You are circling over life, waiting to profit from it, instead of landing and joining the dance. So, the first step is to see the incredible weight of seriousness we carry. To see the structure of purpose we have built around ourselves, like a shell. And to begin to wonder, what if we could set it down? Just for a moment. What if we could, as the Chinese say, learn purposelessness? What would that feel like? It would feel like the moment you stop striving and simply listen to the rain. It would feel like watching wild geese fly and be hidden in the clouds. It would feel like watching a ship vanish behind a distant island. It would feel like wandering on and on in a great forest with no thought of return. Haven't you ever done that? Haven't you ever just gone for a walk with no particular place to go? You twiddle your thumbs. You hit a stick against a stump. You are in that moment a perfectly rational human being. You have learned the great art of purposelessness. And in that space, life stops being a problem. It becomes a song. And you begin to hear the music that has been playing all along. But this is only the beginning. We have seen the weight. Now we must look at the dancer. We must look at this you that is trying so hard to be serious. What is it? Where did it come from? And is it perhaps also part of the game? So we find ourselves carrying this immense weight. We are playing a role, and we have forgotten that it is a role. We have become convinced that the mask is our true face. That the part we play, the banker, the mother, the student, the failure, the success, is who we are fundamentally. This you that you take so seriously, this ego, this personality, what is it? Where did it come from? If you look for it, it's rather elusive. It's a collection of memories, a bundle of desires and fears, a certain pattern of behavior. It's a story you tell yourself and others about who you are. I am a person who likes this and dislikes that. I am someone who did this and failed to do that. It is a concept, a thought. And like all thoughts, it is fleeting. It has no solidity. You cannot locate it in the body. Is it in the head? The heart? The brain is an instrument, a fantastic computer, but it is not the operator. The eye cannot see itself. The tooth cannot bite itself. The thinker cannot think itself. This you is a vibration, a pattern, a whirlpool in the stream of life. A whirlpool is a recognizable pattern. You can say, there is the whirlpool, but if you try to grab it, to take it out of the river, you get nothing but a handful of water. The whirlpool is something the river is doing. It is an activity, not a thing. In the same way, what you call me is something the universe is doing, right here and right now. It is a temporary dancing pattern, a gesture, and like a gesture in the air, it is fundamentally empty. It leaves no trace. Now, this can sound frightening. The idea that I am not a solid, enduring thing can feel like annihilation. But is it? Or is it the discovery of your true, vast nature? You are not the whirlpool. You are the whole river. You are not the wave. You are the ocean. We are all actors in this fantastic divine play. And the problem is not that we are acting. The problem is that we are bad actors. We are method actors. We have gotten so absorbed in the part that we've forgotten the curtain will fall. We've forgotten the audience. We've even forgotten that there are other actors on the stage, and we think our role is the only important one. A good actor knows he is acting. He can play the part of a king with tremendous conviction. But when he walks off the stage, he takes off the crown and has a beer. He doesn't go home and order his family about because he was a king on stage. He knows it was a game. The whole of life has a similar nature. It is a drama. It is a play of energy. And when you know that, you can play your part with immense verve, with passion, with compassion, with everything you have. But you won't be deceived. You won't take the tragedies backstage. You won't cling to the triumphs as if they were your permanent identity. You see, when you don't take your ego so seriously, a wonderful thing happens. You begin to relax. The constant low-grade anxiety of having to protect this fragile fictional self begins to dissolve. You can afford to be more spontaneous. You can afford to be foolish. You can afford to make mistakes. Because it's all part of the play. A wave in the ocean is not anxious about crashing on the shore. It's what waves do. It's part of the rhythm. It will gather itself again. In the same way, your successes and failures are just part of the rhythm of your expression. They are not the final judgment on you, because there is no you to be judged in that solid, fixed way. There is only the dancing, the flowing. This is why the Chinese sages praised purposelessness. They saw that nature is not going anywhere. It is just expressing itself. A tree does not purpose to grow. It grows because it is a tree. A bird does not purpose to sing. It sings because it is a bird. We are the same. Our purpose is not some distant goal. Our purpose is to express what we are right now. And what are we? We are the universe. We are nature. We are that same energy that blows out the stars, that shapes the galaxies, that curls the waves. You are not a stranger in a foreign universe. You are this universe, and it is you. So, how do you live this? How do you stop taking the mask so seriously? You don't do anything. That's the great joke. You cannot try to be spontaneous. You cannot make an effort to be effortless. That is like trying to bite your own teeth. Or like a person hearing a funny joke and then stopping to think, I must laugh now to show I understand. The real laugh comes from nowhere. It happens to you. When this realization dawns, life ceases to be a problem. It becomes a game, a very serious game, sometimes. A tragic game, sometimes. But a game nonetheless, and you can play a serious game without taking it seriously. A good chess player is utterly absorbed in the game. He cares deeply, but he does not think. The fate of the universe rests on whether he wins or loses. He knows it's chess, so you can go about your life. You can do your job, raise your family, pay your bills, but you do it with a lightness. You do it as an expression, not as a means of validation. You work not because you have to prove you are a worthy person, but because the work is there to be done, like a mountain is there to be climbed. This is what is called working for the work's sake, singing for the song's sake. It is action without attachment. You pour yourself completely into the moment, and then you let it go. You don't cling to the result. A cat does not pursue a mouse because it has a philosophy of predation. It does it because it is a cat. It is totally absorbed in the pursuit. It is a perfect expression of cattiness. And when the moment is over, it is over. The cat stretches and goes to sleep. It doesn't lie awake wondering if it was a good cat, or if it could have caught the mouse more efficiently. It is simply itself. We can learn from that. We can learn to be simply ourselves. Not the idea of ourselves, but the living, breathing, immediate reality of ourselves. When you are no longer defending a fragile self-image, you become incredibly strong. Criticism doesn't shatter you. Failure doesn't define you. Success doesn't inflate you. You can flow with circumstances. You can adapt. You can be like water, which is soft and yielding, yet which can eventually wear away the hardest rock. This is not passivity. This is supreme intelligence. It is action that is in accord with the total situation, not just with your narrow, selfish desire. It is the action of the whole universe expressing itself through you. So you see, the answer to the burden of seriousness is not to become frivolous. It is to become playful. To see the cosmos as it is, a joyous, spontaneous, and yes, sometimes painful dance. And to see yourself not as a lonely dancer, but as the dance itself. But the dance has a rhythm. It has a certain pattern. And to understand that pattern is to understand the deepest joke of all. Now, having seen the weight of our self-constructed seriousness, and having glimpsed the illusion of the separate solitary ego, we are left with a question. Not a question to be answered, but an invitation. An invitation to participate. What is left when you are not busy building a monument to yourself? What remains when the constant narration in your head, the commentary, the judgment, the planning begins to quiet down? What remains is the experience itself, the raw, unfiltered isness of things, the feeling of the wind on your skin, the sound of a distant bird, the coolness of water. This is not a trivial reality. This is the fundamental reality. The world is not something you have to figure out. It is something to be tasted, touched, heard, and seen. You are not a passenger in the universe, being taken for a ride. You are the universe, experiencing itself. The eyes you look out of are not your personal possession. They are the eyes of life itself, looking out at its own creation. The energy that animates your body is the same energy that spins the galaxies. This is not a mystical fantasy. This is the most practical thing in the world. When you know this, not just as an idea, but as a feeling in your bones, your relationship with everything changes. You begin to see that life is not a journey with a destination. It is a musical thing. You are here to sing, to dance, to play. But we have been taught that playing is frivolous, that it is only for children. But I ask you, what is the alternative? All work and no play does not just make Jack a dull boy. It makes him a nervous wreck. It makes him a tyrant. It makes him a machine. The alternative is to join the dance. To understand that your very existence is your justification. You do not need permission to be. You do not need to earn the right to be here. You are here because you are here, just as a rose is red because it is a rose. So how does one live this way? You don't try. Trying is the energy of the separate ego, the energy of seriousness. You simply begin to notice. You notice the moments when you are already not trying. The moment you are captivated by a piece of music and forget yourself. The moment you are so absorbed in a conversation that time stops. The moment you are walking in nature and your endless internal chatter simply ceases. In those moments, you are there. You are fully present. And in that presence, there is no problem. There is only the dance. The goal is not to make those moments happen. The goal is to notice that they are always available, because the dance is always happening. Your very breathing is part of it. Your heartbeat is the drum beat. This is the great liberation. To understand that you are already free. You are already what you are seeking. You are not going to become happy, peaceful, or enlightened at some future date. You can only be those things now. Any effort to become something is a rejection of what you already are, which is the energy of the cosmos. This does not mean you become passive. Quite the opposite. When you are not wasting energy defending an idea of yourself, you have immense energy available for life. You can act with tremendous efficiency and compassion, because your action is not about you. It is about the situation itself. It is the universe responding to itself. You become like the Zen archer, who does not shoot the arrow. It shoots. There is no arrogant archer separate from the bow, the arrow, and the target. There is only the one event, the shooting. This is action without strain. This is wu-wei. And so the call to action is not a call to do something new. It is a call to see something you have been overlooking. It is a call to trust. To trust yourself, to trust your own nature, and the nature of which you are a part. Yes, this is a risk. Life will sometimes let you down with a wallop. But the alternative, the life of total mistrust, of control, of constant surveillance of yourself and the world, that is not a life at all. That is a prison of your own making. The call is to let go, to join the dance that has been going on for billions of years, to sing the song that is already singing itself through you. You are under no obligation to be the same person you were 5 minutes ago. You are under no obligation to be serious. You are under no obligation to justify your existence. Your only obligation, if there is one, is to be true to the deepest truth of your being, that you are a unique, irreplaceable, and temporary expression of the whole universe. And the universe is not serious. It is playful. It is joyful. It is a great cosmic game of hide and seek, where it is both the hider and the seeker. So, go on, play, experiment, be foolish, be magnificent, fail gloriously, succeed lightly, love, lose, feel it all. But whatever you do, don't miss the show by being too busy looking for the meaning behind it. The meaning is in the music. The meaning is in the dance. And you are the music. You are the dance. There's a great cosmic joke being played on anyone who seriously pursues the spiritual life. And the joke is this: what you thought you were looking for is not what you actually find. You thought you were looking for happiness, for peace, for some kind of permanent vacation from the troubles of being human. But what you actually stumble into is reality. Raw, unfiltered, utterly honest reality. And reality, as it turns out, is not always pleasant. It's true, yes. It's real, certainly. But pleasant? That's another matter entirely. The strange thing is, once you've tasted this reality, once you've seen behind the curtain, you wouldn't trade it for all the comfortable illusions in the world, even though it hurts. You see, spiritual awakening is not what we've been sold in the marketplace of popular ideas. It's not a perpetual state of bliss, not a permanent vacation from the difficulties of existence. It's actually quite the opposite. It's as if you've been given a pair of glasses that allow you to see what was always there, but that everyone else has agreed not to notice. And once you put those glasses on, you cannot simply take them off when the view becomes uncomfortable. This is the great cosmic joke of awakening. You've become like someone who has developed perfect pitch in a world where everyone else is tone deaf. The discord that was always there now rings in your ears with perfect clarity. Let me share with you 7 pains that accompany this awakening. Not to discourage you, mind you, but to let you know that if you're experiencing these things, you're not going mad. You're not broken. You're simply awake in a world that is still largely dreaming. The first pain is the agony of seeing through the games. You begin to notice that almost everything people do, almost everything society celebrates, is theater. The businessman in his suit, the professor with his degrees, the mother with her perfect family. They are all playing roles, and you see it. You see the mask, the costume, the script they're following. This wouldn't be painful except for one thing. They don't see it themselves. Imagine watching a movie where all the actors have forgotten their acting. They've become so absorbed in their characters that they think the drama on screen is reality itself. And you're sitting there, seeing the cameras, the lighting, the director calling the seots. You want to tell them, look, you're playing a part. This isn't who you really are. But they cannot hear you. They're too busy defending their role, protecting their character, making sure their performance is convincing. This creates a peculiar kind of loneliness. You're surrounded by people, but you cannot quite connect with them in the old way anymore. The conversations that once engaged you now feel hollow. The concern for its once seemed important now appear trivial. Not because you've become superior, mind you, but because you've seen behind the curtain. And once you've seen, you cannot unsee. The second pain is the collapse of your old identity. Before awakening, you knew who you were. You had your story, your biography, your sense of self. I am this kind of person. I come from that kind of background. I have these qualities, these flaws, these aspirations. It was a comfortable prison, this identity. It gave you a sense of stability, of knowing your place in the world. But awakening dissolves all of this. You begin to realize that this you've been defending all these years, this character you've been playing, is just another role. It's a collection of memories, habits, preferences, but it's not a solid thing. It's more like a pattern in water, a whirlpool that appears to have form but is actually just the river doing something for a moment. This realization can be terrifying. If I'm not this personality, if I'm not this story, then what am I? The ground beneath your feet disappears. You lose the handrails you've been gripping. Everything that gave you a sense of being somebody dissolves, and you're left in a kind of groundless void. This is what the mystics call the dark night of the soul, and it's as painful as it sounds. The third pain is watching everyone around you suffer unnecessarily, and you cannot fix it for them. You see your friends worrying about things that don't matter, chasing things that won't fulfill them, defending positions that only create more pain. You see them trapped in their own minds, imprisoned by their own thoughts, and your heart breaks for them. The painful part is not their suffering itself. Suffering is part of life, part of the dance. The painful part is seeing that it's unnecessary suffering. Like watching someone beat their head against a wall, convinced that if they just hit it hard enough, the wall will give them what they want. You want to say, stop, just stop. The wall isn't your enemy, you're creating your own pain. But they cannot hear this. They're too busy hitting the wall. And so you watch. You watch people destroy relationships because they cannot let go of being right. You watch them exhaust themselves chasing success that will never satisfy them. You watch them build walls around their hearts to protect themselves from the very love they desperately need. And you feel helpless because you know that until they're ready to wake up, nothing you say will reach them. The fourth pain is the burden of responsibility. Once you see clearly, once you understand how the game works, you can no longer play unconsciously. Every action you take, every word you speak, you're aware of its effects. You see the ripples spreading out from everything you do. This awareness is both a gift and a weight. Before awakening, you could excuse your behavior. I was angry. I didn't mean it. I wasn't thinking. But now you see that you're always choosing. Even your automatic reactions are choices that you've made so many times they've become habitual. You see that you're creating your experience moment by moment, and this means you can no longer blame anyone else for your suffering. This is liberation, yes, but it's also terribly demanding. You cannot coast anymore. You cannot sleepwalk through your life. Every moment requires presence, attention, choice. It's exhausting in a way that people who are still asleep cannot understand. They think awakening means you've figured everything out, that you're now floating above the troubles of ordinary existence. But actually, you're more present to those troubles than ever before. You just relate to them differently. The fifth pain is the death of your dreams. Not all your dreams, mind you, but the dreams that were built on illusion. The dream of becoming somebody special, of finally arriving at a place where you'll be complete, of achieving something that will make you worthy. These dreams, which have driven you for so long, begin to crumble. You see that the self that wants to become enlightened is the very obstacle to enlightenment. The one who wants to be special is the one who feels ordinary. The seeker is creating the sense of something missing. It's like a dog chasing its own tail. The chase itself creates the distance. This is painful because these dreams gave your life direction. They were your North Star, your reason for getting up in the morning. And now they're revealed as fantasies, games you were playing with yourself. What do you do when the very structure of your motivation collapses? When the question, what's it all for, no longer has an answer that satisfies you? The sixth pain is the collapse of certainty. Before awakening, you might have been certain about many things. This is right, that is wrong. This is true, that is false. Life is this way, not that way. These certainties gave you solid ground to stand on. They made you feel safe, confident, oriented. But awakening reveals that reality is far more fluid, far more mysterious than your concepts about it. The more you see, the less you can honestly say you know. The great mystics and sages always speak with a kind of humility, a recognition that reality is ultimately beyond all our categories and labels. This is not false modesty. It's honest acknowledgement of the vastness of what is. This collapse of certainty can make you feel unmoored. In conversations, you find yourself hesitating, qualifying, saying "it seems to me" or "in my experience," rather than making bold declarations. People may think you've become wishy-washy, that you've lost your conviction, but actually you've simply become more honest about the limits of what anyone can truly know. The seventh pain, and perhaps the deepest, is the recognition of your own participation in suffering. Not just your own suffering, but all suffering. You begin to see that there is no out there separate from in here. The violence in the world is not separate from the violence in your own heart. The greed that destroys forests is connected to your own grasping. The hatred between groups is reflected in your own resistance to what is. This is not about guilt or self-flagellation. It's about seeing the truth of interconnection. You're not a separate self encountering a world. You're the world knowing itself from this particular perspective. And this means that every act of ignorance, every moment of unconsciousness, every choice for fear over love, you see it all as your responsibility. This doesn't mean you're personally to blame for everything. That would be ego again, trying to be important even in its guilt. It means you recognize that the solution begins with you, that the healing of the world starts with the healing of your own heart. And this is a tremendous weight to carry, because you cannot fix it all. You cannot single-handedly awaken the world. You can only do your part, moment by moment, and trust that it matters. Now, having shared these pains with you, I want to be very clear about something. These pains are not signs that you've made a mistake, that you should have stayed asleep. They're not evidence that spiritual awakening is a terrible idea, quite the opposite. These pains are growing pains. They're the discomfort of a butterfly breaking out of its cocoon, of a seed cracking open to become a tree. You see, the alternative to these pains is the pain of staying asleep. And let me tell you, that pain is far worse, even if it's less conscious. The pain of living a life that doesn't align with truth, of playing roles that suffocate your spirit, of dying without ever having truly lived. This is a pain that most people carry so constantly, they don't even recognize it as pain anymore. It's just the background hum of their existence. The pains of awakening, on the other hand, are the pains of becoming real. They're the natural consequence of choosing truth over comfort, awareness over distraction, presence over escape. And yes, they hurt. But they hurt in the way that exercise hurts muscles, in the way that sunlight hurts eyes that have been in darkness. It's the pain of life returning to areas that had gone numb. What I find most interesting about these pains is that they don't go away, but your relationship to them changes. At first, they feel like afflictions, like something wrong is happening. But gradually, if you stay with them, they reveal themselves as teachers. Each pain carries within it a profound lesson about the nature of reality, the nature of self, the nature of this strange and wonderful mystery we call existence. The pain of seeing through the games teaches you compassion. You realize that everyone is doing their best with the level of awareness they have. Without a fixed self to defend, you can be fluid, responsive, alive to each moment. The pain of watching others suffer teaches you patience and humility. You cannot save anyone who doesn't want to be saved. The pain of responsibility teaches you integrity. Every action matters, every choice shapes reality. The pain of dreams dying teaches you to live in the present rather than some imagined future. The pain of uncertainty teaches you to be comfortable with mystery, to live the questions rather than demanding answers. And the pain of recognizing your participation in all suffering teaches you that the personal and universal are not separate, that your inner work is the most important work you can do. There's a beautiful paradox here. The more sensitive you become to these pains, the more resilient you also become. It's not that you develop a thick skin or learn to shut down your feelings. It's that you develop the capacity to hold pain without being destroyed by it, to feel deeply without being overwhelmed, to stay open even when it hurts. This is what the spiritually awake learn. Not how to avoid pain, but how to dance with it. How to let it move through you without claiming you. How to use it as fuel for growth rather than as an excuse to contract. Pain becomes a kind of music, not always pleasant, but always part of the song. And here's what nobody tells you about spiritual awakening. Eventually, these pains begin to feel almost sweet. Not because you're a masochist, but because you recognize them as the price of being fully alive. You wouldn't trade your awareness for the comfortable inconsciousness you once had. The pains are worth it because they come packaged with something else. A sense of being real, of being authentic, of being in direct contact with life rather than living through layers of protection and pretense. You begin to see that these pains are actually signs of aliveness. Only dead things feel nothing. Only those who are truly living feel the full range of human experience, including its difficulties. And there's a strange joy that comes with this recognition. Yes, it hurts to be awake, but my God, it's better than being asleep. The spiritually awake walk a curious path. They're more vulnerable and more resilient at the same time. They feel more deeply and are less disturbed by their feelings. They see the illusions and still participate in the dance. They recognize the game and still play with full engagement. This is the art of living awake. To be in the world but not of it. To feel everything but cling to nothing. To care deeply but hold lightly. So if you're experiencing these pains, welcome. Welcome to the club of those who have chosen to wake up. It's not an easy club to be part of, but it's an honest one. We don't pretend life is something it's not. We don't sugarcoat reality. We see it as it is, and we love it anyway. We feel the pain of existence, and we embrace it as part of the mystery. Remember, you cannot go back to sleep on purpose. Once awakening begins, it continues whether you like it or not. But you can resist it, and that resistance creates even more suffering. Or you can surrender to it, let it take you where it wants to go, let it teach you what it wants to teach. The pains will be there either way, but in surrender, they become pathways rather than obstacles. And here's the final secret I'll share with you. On the other side of these pains, or rather in the heart of them, there is something that cannot be touched by pain. There is an awareness that witnesses all experience, but is not damaged by any experience. There is a peace that exists not because everything is peaceful, but because it's not dependent on circumstances at all. This is what the spiritually awake eventually discover, not an escape from pain, but a dimension of being that is prior to pain. Not the absence of suffering, but the presence of something that cannot suffer even while suffering is happening. This is the ultimate paradox. The pains are real, and yet they're happening to no one. They're experienced fully, and yet they're not a problem. This might sound like philosophical nonsense to you right now, especially if you're in the middle of one of these pains. That's fine. You'll understand it when you understand it. For now, just know that what you're experiencing is natural, that it's part of the path, that countless others have walked this way before you. The spiritually awake are not superhuman. They're simply awake. And being awake means feeling everything, seeing everything, being present to the full catastrophe of human existence. It's painful.
There is something happening all around us, though most do not notice. If you pay attention, you may feel it, a quiet vanishing, a fading of certain people from the common noise of life. Not that they have died, nor that they have left the planet, but they are retreating. Spiritually awake people are quietly disappearing from society. They are slipping out of the constant chatter, the endless demands, the ceaseless competition. They are not showing up in the same places anymore, not chasing the same prizes, not clamoring for attention in the same ways. And if you look for them, you may not find them in the crowds, for they have stepped to the side. They are withdrawing, but not out of defeat. They are retreating because they have seen something. And once you have seen, you cannot go back to blindness. What they have seen is the machinery of illusion. They have looked at the game of life that everyone seems to play so seriously, the race for wealth, status, recognition, and they have realized it is not reality at all, but a performance. A grand carnival, a masquerade, in which people wear costumes so long they forget who they really are. The spiritually awake have glimpsed the absurdity. They have seen the frantic striving for what never satisfies. They have seen the way people cling to identities, to possessions, to reputations, as though these could secure them against death. And once this is seen, the game loses its grip. Imagine you are in a theater, watching a play, and suddenly you notice the wires that hold the scenery, the lights that create the illusions, the actors reading their lines. You cannot unsee it. The drama no longer fools you. You may still watch, you may still enjoy the story, but you no longer confuse it for truth. That is what happens when one awakens. And so they step back. To those still asleep, this looks like disappearance. They see someone no longer interested in chasing promotions, no longer caught up in gossip, no longer glued to the endless news cycle, and they think something has gone wrong. They whisper, "He has lost ambition, she has lost her spark." But what has been lost is not life, it is the lie about life. The spiritually awake are not absent because they lack vitality. They are absent because they no longer feed the machine that drains vitality. They are disappearing, not into nothingness, but into a deeper presence. Yet from the outside, it seems as if they have vanished. Society does not know what to do with such people. For society values productivity, visibility, and noise. It rewards those who perform endlessly, who stay busy, who keep running. To step aside from this is to appear irrelevant, and so the awake slip quietly into invisibility. But their disappearance reveals a deeper problem, that our culture cannot recognize wisdom unless it is loud. It cannot see truth unless it is branded. It cannot hear silence because it only knows how to listen for shouts. And so the very people who hold the medicine for a sick society are dismissed as if they had nothing to offer. Their stillness is mistaken for absence, their quiet for emptiness, their retreat for defeat. Consider the modern condition. From dawn until sleep, we are bombarded by noise advertisements demanding attention, devices pulling our gaze, institutions demanding productivity. Life is lived in constant interruption, a ceaseless tugging at the mind. The awake see through this. They see how distraction is not accidental but engineered. They see how the system thrives on keeping people restless, never still, always consuming, always striving. And so they walk away, not with bitterness, but with clarity. They no longer want to be cogs in this machinery. They no longer want to sacrifice presence for productivity or depth for performance. They realize that life is not found in the frantic chase, but in the stillness beneath it. To the unawakened, this retreat is incomprehensible. For the unawakened, life's meaning is bound to status, possessions, achievements. They cannot imagine stepping away from this treadmill, because to do so would mean collapse. To them, stepping back is failure. And yet, the awakened know that chasing endlessly is the true failure, because the chase never ends. It is like trying to catch the horizon. No matter how far you run, it remains ahead of you. At some point, you see that the pursuit itself is the trap. So the spiritually awake step off the track entirely. They are not running anymore. And because they are no longer running, they cannot be seen in the race. To the racers, they have disappeared. But this disappearance comes at a cost. For those who awaken are often misunderstood. Friends may drift away, unable to relate anymore. Family may criticize, thinking something has gone wrong. Society at large may ignore them. And so there is a loneliness in awakening, not because one is truly alone, but because the world cannot yet recognize the dimension you are living in. This is why it appears as though awake people are vanishing. They are not vanishing, they are becoming invisible to a culture that only measures what can be seen on the surface. And yet, notice the irony. The very qualities dismissed as irrelevant are those most desperately needed. For in a world that is addicted to noise, silence is wisdom. In a culture drowning in excess, simplicity is medicine. In a society built on anxiety, presence is liberation. But because silence, simplicity, and presence cannot be sold, they are ignored. And the ones who embody them seem to disappear. Think of the carnival again. Everyone rushing from one ride to another, desperate for the next thrill. But one person stops. They step outside the flashing lights, the spinning rides, the endless noise. They sit quietly at the edge, watching the spectacle with a soft smile. To the others, they have vanished. But in truth, they are the only one who has actually seen the carnival for what it island. So spiritually awake people withdraw, not because they reject life, but because they have found a deeper rhythm beneath the noise. They do not need to win, for they see there is nothing to win. They do not need to prove themselves, for they know there is no separate self to prove. And so they disappear, not because they are gone, but because society has no eyes to see them. When it seems that the spiritually awake are fading from society, what is really happening is not disappearance, but transformation. What looks like absence is a return to a deeper kind of presence. Just as the caterpillar slips into stillness and vanishes from the eyes of the world before emerging as something entirely new, so too do the awake retreat from the noise, not to escape life, but to rediscover its essence. They do not abandon the world, but enter into it more fully by refusing to confuse the surface spectacle with reality. For to awaken is to see that what we call society is largely a dance of shadows. The roles, the competitions, the ambitions are like costumes worn so long that people forget they're playing. And when you take off the costume, when you put aside the mask, the crowd no longer knows what to do with you. They say you have disappeared, when in fact you have returned to yourself. What disappears is not the person, but the illusion of the person they were pretending to be. The titles, the reputation, the image, these dissolve, and what remains is not emptiness but truth. This is why their retreat is so difficult to comprehend for those still caught in the performance. When you measure everything by visibility, silence looks like absence. When you measure worth by productivity, stillness looks like idleness. But silence is not absence, and stillness is not idleness. They are the ground from which all true life arises. To live in this way is to live like the deep ocean. On the surface there are waves, storms, and constant motion. But below there is vast calm, an unmoving depth that holds everything. The spiritually awake dive beneath the surface, not because they despise the waves, but because they have discovered that the real ocean is not the noise above, but the stillness below. And in this stillness, they rediscover a freedom that no amount of striving could ever provide. Society misunderstands this disappearance because it assumes that meaning can only be found in visibility. If you are not achieving, if you are not climbing, if you are not proving, then surely you are lost. But the awakened one knows the opposite. To constantly prove is to be lost. To constantly chase is to be trapped. To constantly seek recognition is to be blind to what you already are. Freedom begins when you no longer need to be seen. And this is the paradox. The more one disappears from society's games, the more one reappears in reality. For in letting go of the endless demands of becoming, you discover the wonder of simply being. You taste food without needing to share it. You listen to another without needing to reply. You see a sunrise without needing to capture it. These simple moments, which society dismisses as insignificant, reveal themselves to be the very heart of existence. The spiritually awake show us, often without words, that you do not need to conquer life in order to live it. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a dance to be joined. And when you no longer fight the rhythm, you find yourself carried effortlessly by it. This is what society mistakes for disappearance. It does not recognize the one who is dancing, because it is too busy struggling with the music. The truth is that their vanishing act is not an escape but an offering. By stepping away from the illusions, they create a space in which others might glimpse what lies beyond them. Their very stillness radiates a quiet invitation, like a candle in a dark room. It does not argue with the darkness, does not fight it, but by simply shining, it reveals another possibility. The spiritually awake become such candles. They do not need to persuade, they only need to be. And though society may not celebrate them, those who come close to them will feel something different, a presence, a peace, a freedom that no advertisement can sell and no institution can provide. This is why their disappearance is not truly a loss. For while they no longer play on the surface, their being becomes nourishment for those willing to pause and listen. When you stop needing to be relevant, you discover your true relevance. When you stop trying to be someone, you awaken to being itself. When you stop struggling to hold on, you realize you are already held by the whole universe. This is the wisdom that shines through those who vanish. And so the question is not why they are disappearing, but whether you are willing to follow them into the quiet. For perhaps your exhaustion is not failure, but the first whisper of awakening. Perhaps your weariness with the noise is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of readiness. To step aside from the carnival does not mean the end of joy. It means rediscovering joy in its truest form. You see, the awakened do not disappear from life. They disappear into life. They are no longer separate, no longer striving, no longer fighting. They merge with the rhythm that has always been here, the rhythm of breathing, of wind through the trees, of waves meeting the shore. And in that merging, they are not lost, they are found. So if you cannot find them in the usual places, look elsewhere. Look in the quiet of the morning when the world has not yet begun its noise. Look in the eyes of someone who is fully present with you. Look in the spaces between thoughts, where awareness rests in silence. That is where the spiritually awake are. They have not left you. They are waiting for you to see. At the end, perhaps the most beautiful truth is that what we call disappearing is simply another way of arriving. Arriving at reality, arriving at presence, arriving at the realization that nothing essential was ever missing. The awake do not vanish, they return to the center. And in their return, they remind us that we too can step back from the noise. We too can rest in silence. We too can rediscover the freedom that was never lost. And when you begin to see this, you understand that their disappearance was not abandonment but invitation. They have not left the world behind. They have simply found the world that was always here beneath the illusions. And if you are willing to pause, to listen, to let go, you too will find that what seemed to vanish was never gone. It was always here, quietly waiting in the stillness of your own being.
It's just to be alive. It is so plain and so obvious and so simple. Yet everybody rushes around in a great panic as if it were necessary to achieve something beyond themselves. Have you ever noticed that suffering is not so much in the pain itself, but in the way we cling to it, resist it, and try to escape from it? It's curious, isn't it? The moment you resist a thing, you magnify it. The moment you push against a thought, you give it strength. And so much of what we call suffering isn't in the rain that falls upon us, but in the way we curse the storm. Now, I'm not suggesting that life is free of difficulty. Far from it. Life has always been a dance of opposites. Pain and pleasure, gain and loss, birth and death, they are as inseparable as the front and the back of a coin. But here is the trick. You see, suffering is not the same as pain. Pain is simply what is. The sting of loss, the ache of the body, the tears of parting, these are natural as the tides. But suffering is the story we weave around it. It is the why me. It is the clinging, the holding on, the desperate attempt to control what was never in our control. There is an old saying in Zen, let go or be dragged. And this is precisely the matter at hand. When you stop clutching, when you let the river flow, you find that the water carries you. But when you stiffen, when you insist on paddling against the current, you exhaust yourself. And then, of course, you call that exhaustion suffering. Now imagine this for a moment. Suppose you are sitting in a concert hall, listening to the most marvelous symphony. The violins rise, the horns call, the drums thunder, and then there are those soft silences between notes. If you tried to cling to one particular note, one particular moment, you would miss the music entirely. And yet that is what so many of us do with life. We clutch to the past, we resist the present, and we demand that the future turn out just so. And in this struggle, we suffer. Muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone. Isn't that delightful? You stir up the pond, and then you panic, wondering why you cannot see. But if you would only stop meddling, if you would let the water settle on its own, it becomes clear again. This is the essence of ending suffering. To stop trying to force clarity, to stop grasping for control, to let life be. And yet, here comes the paradox. The very moment you try to let go, you will find yourself grasping at letting go. You will say, I must stop suffering, I must drop it, I must let it go. And suddenly, suffering is right back in the room, laughing at you. So, what do? You don't do. You notice, you watch. You become aware of this game you are playing. And in that very awareness, a kind of miracle happens. The grasping begins to loosen on its own. This is why I often say, man suffers only because he takes seriously what the gods made for fun. Life is a game, a play, a cosmic hide and seek. You are it, pretending not to be it. You are the universe playing at being a person. And the moment you recognize that this whole drama isn't meant to be taken with such deadly seriousness, you begin to laugh at your suffering. And what happens when you laugh? You loosen, you breathe, you live. Think of a child. A child falls, scrapes its knee, and within moments they are up again, laughing, running. The pain is there, yes, but it has not yet solidified into suffering. Why? Because the child has not learned to weave long stories about it. They haven't yet learned to cling. But we as adults become very good at storytelling. We carry our wounds like treasures, retelling them, protecting them, building identities around them. And in this endless narration, we suffer far more than the original wound ever required. So let me tell you a story. One you may have heard before, but it bears repeating. There was once a Chinese farmer. One day, his horse ran away, and the neighbors came and said, "Oh, that's too bad." And the farmer simply replied, "Maybe." The next day, the horse returned, bringing with it 7 wild horses, and the neighbors came again and said, "Why, how wonderful!" And the farmer said, "Maybe." The day after, his son tried to ride one of the wild horses, and he was thrown off, breaking his leg. The neighbors rushed in, "Oh, that's terrible." And again the farmer said, "Maybe." The very next day, conscription officers came, looking for young men to draft into the army. But because the son had a broken leg, they passed him by. And the neighbors cried, "How fortunate!" And the farmer, as always, replied, "Maybe." Now, the point of this story is not about being clever or detached. It's about seeing that life is endlessly unfolding, and our judgments of good and bad, fortunate and unfortunate, are terribly short-sighted. When you see this, you begin to loosen your grip on things. You stop suffering over each twist of the plot, because you realize you are not meant to judge the story, you are meant to experience it. Man is a little bit afraid. He wonders what will happen next. But that is precisely the adventure. The attempt to escape suffering is often the very root of it. You fear the unknown, you fear loss, you fear death. But all of these are part of the adventure. The trick, you see, is not to get rid of the storm, but to learn to dance in the rain, not to abolish the silence, but to hear the music within it, not to conquer death, but to realize that death is what makes life so exquisitely alive. And so, if you wish to stop suffering now, don't begin with the attempt to rearrange life. Begin with the way you see it. Look at the river, look at the sky, look at your own thoughts, rising and falling like clouds, and see they were never under your control anyway. When you allow them to flow, you discover a strange thing. suffering evaporates, and in its place there is a kind of deep, wordless peace. It is not the peace of having solved everything, but the peace of no longer needing to. The more a thing tends to be permanent, the more it tends to be lifeless. Suffering comes from our desperate attempt to make the impermanent permanent. We want the joy without the loss, the life without the death, the gain without the risk. But this is to want a one-sided coin, and a one-sided coin does not exist. When you see this, when you truly see it, you stop fighting the rhythm of life, and in that moment suffering dissolves. So perhaps the invitation is not to escape suffering, but to see through it, to recognize it as a trick of the mind, a tightening where loosening is possible. And in this recognition, right here, right now, you are free. So we have this feeling of being a lonely little me, inside a bag of skin, looking out at a world that is foreign and often threatening. We feel that we came into this world. But did you? Or did you come out of it? Like an apple comes out of an apple tree. Have you noticed this peculiar illusion we carry? The sense that we are strangers in the universe, accidental visitors, isolated egos inside these fragile shells of flesh. We imagine ourselves tossed into a world that does not belong to us, that is indifferent or hostile. And because of this illusion, we feel lonely. We feel afraid. We feel the weight of being a separate self, adrift in a vast, uncaring cosmos. But pause for a moment. Ask yourself honestly, did you really come into this world? Or did you come out of it? Just as a leaf comes out of a branch, just as the wave rises out of the sea, the universe has been unfolding for billions of years. And here you are, a blossoming, an expression, a ripple in its eternal dance. You are not a visitor. You are the happening itself. Consider the wave. A wave curls upon the ocean surface. It rises, takes form, gathers strength, and if it could think, it might say, look at me, I am a wave, I am important, separate, special. But the wave also fears. It sees its own end approaching as it tumbles toward the shore. It trembles at the crash, thinking it will vanish forever, and so it suffers. But what the wave forgets, what we forget, is that it is never separate from the ocean. Its water is the ocean's water. Its motion is the ocean's motion. The crash upon the shore is not the end of the wave, but a transformation. It returns to the sea, just as it always was the sea. You are that wave. You may call yourself by a name, John or Jane, but your true identity is oceanic. You are the universe itself, playing at being a temporary ripple. And when you see this, fear dissolves. Loneliness fades, because you realize you cannot fall out of the ocean. You cannot be lost. You are the ocean, forever folding into new forms. Now let's deepen this. The universe is not merely ocean, but a great play of opposites. Light and dark, sound and silence, life and death. We live in a system of polarity. The crest of the wave cannot exist without the trough. The heartbeat itself, systole and diastole, contraction and expansion. If the heart stopped alternating, you would not be alive. Yet what do? We try to cling to one side and reject the other. We worship the light but curse the darkness. We chase pleasure but resist pain. We want to live but we fear death. And here is the trick. You cannot have one without the other. It's like trying to play a game of chess with only white pieces, or trying to listen to music with only sound and no silence. The opposites define one another. Without the background of night, the stars would not shine. Without silence, music would be meaningless. Without death, life would lose its urgency, its beauty. But suffering arises when we forget this is a game, when we treat one side as an enemy to be conquered, rather than a partner in the dance. The yin-yang symbol, you see, is not static. It's always turning, always flowing. The black contains the seed of white, and the white contains the seed of black. They chase one another like lovers, like dancers. The universe is not at war with itself. It is in love with itself. It is playing, it is dancing. And you are one of its graceful movements. Now let's take another metaphor. Imagine life as a grand theater. The curtain rises, the actors step onto the stage, and the play begins. To be a good actor, you must believe in your role. If you are playing the tragic hero, you must weep real tears. If you are playing the clown, you must laugh with all your heart. But the great actor never forgets. This is a role. The tears are real, yet they are also play. When the curtain falls, the actor steps off stage, removes the costume, and goes home. Now here is the human predicament. We have forgotten we are actors. We are stuck on the stage, utterly convinced the play is reality itself. We take our role as John or Mary with such seriousness, such gravity, that we suffer as if the play were eternal. But what happens when you remember, when you see that the role is temporary, that the curtain will fall? You do not stop acting. In fact, you act even better. Because you can give yourself fully to the role, knowing it is not the whole of you. You are not just the actor, you are the audience, watching the play unfold. You are the playwright, weaving the story. You are the stage itself, upon which the drama appears. And when you realize this, the tragedy loses its sting. The comedy sparkles. And even the sorrows of life become part of the magnificent performance. But perhaps the deepest illusion of all is the sense of separation. This feeling of being a lonely little me, trapped in a bag of skin, peering out at a world that is other. Science will tell you quite correctly that your body is made of stardust, that the iron in your blood was forged in the heart of stars that exploded billions of years ago, that the breath you inhale right now was exhaled by trees, and the breath you exhale is food for them. You are not separate from the environment. You are the environment. You don't live in the universe. You are the universe, living as this particular form for a little while. The illusion of being separate is the root of fear, and thus the root of suffering. Because if you believe you are only this fragile ego, you must constantly defend it, protect it, cling to it, and of course it feels terrifying to lose it. But when you see through the illusion, when you realize you are the ocean, the waves, the actor, the stage, the whole cosmic drama, then death itself loses its teeth. Because how can the universe lose itself? It is only changing costume, only shifting masks, only moving from one dance to another. Let me share with you one final image. The Hindus say the universe is a game of hide and seek. God, or Brahman, hides from himself by becoming us, by becoming the world of forms, by pretending to be you and forgetting. Why? Because there is no fun in playing a game where you already know the ending. So the self hides from itself, takes on the disguise of you, and pretends to be lost. And the whole adventure of life is the thrill of seeking. But sooner or later, the game reaches its turning point. The mask slips, the curtain is lifted, and you remember, it was me all along. I was the seeker and the sought, the hider and the finder, the player and the game. And then you laugh, because you realize suffering was never more than forgetting the playful nature of it all. You are the aperture through which the universe is looking at itself and exploring itself. And when you know this, not as an idea, but as a lived reality, life transforms. The fear of death loosens. The grip of loneliness fades. The seriousness of suffering dissolves. Because you remember, you are not merely in the cosmos. You are the cosmos. And this whole drama, with its joys and sorrows, is your play. So how does one stop suffering now? The ego's first instinct is to find a method, a technique, a new thing to do. To try even harder to control the game. But that is like a person trapped in quicksand, struggling. It only sinks them deeper. The way is not to grasp, but to let go. We human beings are funny creatures. When faced with the challenge of suffering, our first thought is always, what should I do? We want a prescription, a technique, a map. We want some clever method that will finally fix it all. But do you see the trick here? The very one who is suffering, the grasping, anxious self, is the one trying to end suffering. It's like a dog chasing its own tail, or like a man in quicksand who thrashes and flails, only to sink deeper with every effort. The harder you try to be free, the more tightly you bind yourself. Because the very act of trying is rooted in resistance, and resistance is the seed of suffering. This is why control never quite works. You say to yourself, I must let go, I must relax, I must trust, and already you are clutching at relaxation, grasping at trust, forcing yourself to let go. It's absurd, isn't it? And yet, this is the human predicament. We try to control the uncontrollable. We try to clutch the river with our hands. And then we wonder why we come up empty. Letting go is not something you do. It is what happens when you see that there is nothing to hold on to. It's like opening your hand and realizing it was empty all along. It is that we are constantly labeling events as good or bad, fortunate or unfortunate, based on a tiny sliver of perspective. But the truth is, we do not know. We cannot know. The story is still unfolding. Our endless judgments, our compulsive labeling, they are the very roots of anxiety. We live in constant tension, afraid of what may come, desperate to hold on to what we call good, terrified of what we call bad. But if we could live like the farmer, with that soft smile of maybe, suffering would dissolve like morning mist. So then, what is the alternative? If not control, if not judgment, what is left? Attention. Pure, unfiltered, childlike attention. Instead of trying to change what is, try simply to look at it. Feel the anxiety in your chest. Don't call it bad. Don't try to fix it. Just feel it as it is. Listen to the sound of the rain on the roof. Don't call it pleasant. Don't call it unpleasant. Just listen. Look at the light filtering through the trees. Don't say, how beautiful. Don't say, how ordinary. Just look. And when you do this, something miraculous happens. The world, which had grown flat and gray, suddenly becomes alive again. Everything shimmers with mystery, as if seen for the first time. You become like a child, and for a child, everything is gee whiz. The most ordinary pebble is a jewel. The most common insect is a dragon. The whole world is vibrant, alive, radiant. Now, I must warn you to live this way feels like living without a net, because the ego desperately wants guarantees. It wants security, certainty, a safety rope to cling to. But life offers no such thing, and that, my friends, is its beauty. The tree does not ask for a guarantee of spring. It simply blossoms. The bird does not demand a contract with the sky. It simply spreads its wings and flies. Living without a net is to realize you don't actually have to let go, because there is nothing to hold on to. There never was. You see, all along, you have been like a man clutching at empty air, imagining it was a rope. And when you finally look, you laugh because there is nothing to release. You are already free. This is the wisdom of unknowing. We are so desperate to know, to pin down, to fix, to explain. But what if we could rest in the vastness of not knowing? What if we could meet each moment without the burden of labels, without the need for certainty? Then life would not be a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be lived. The river flows, and you flow with it. The wind blows, and you bend with it. The stars burn, and you burn with them. There is no plan to follow, no secret key to find. There is only this moment, this breath, this dance. And when you see this, you discover a peace deeper than answers. The peace of not needing to know, the peace of simply being. And here comes the final joke of it all. The very thing you have been searching for, freedom, peace, the end of suffering, was never hiding. It was here all along. It's like looking for your own head. You can twist and turn, peer into every mirror, ask every teacher, but you will never see it directly, because it is what you are looking from. In the same way, you are the very freedom you seek. You are the very peace you long for. You are it. Always, already here. And the moment you stop searching, the moment you stop touching, you see it like a joke that was waiting all along. And then perhaps you laugh. The real you is not a puppet which life pushes around. The real deep down you is the whole universe. And when you realize this, that there is no rope to grasp, no net to fall into, no separate self to protect, you stop struggling, you stop suffering, and you live. Not tomorrow, not when you figured it all out, but now, always now. So here we are, my friends, at the final turn of this little journey together. We began with a knot, the knot of suffering, the sense that you are a lonely little creature, cast adrift in a vast and hostile universe. And perhaps along the way you've noticed that knot beginning to loosen. Not by force, not by pulling at it, but simply by seeing it for what it is, an illusion. You see, all along, the suffering was not in life itself, but in the way we held on to it. The way we tried to freeze the dance into a still photograph. The way we insisted on being the permanent guest in an impermanent party. And life, of course, refuses. Life moves, it dances, it breathes, and so our suffering was the friction between our demand for solidity and the universe's endless fluidity. Now, let us tie the threads together. We began with separation, a skin-encapsulated ego, looking out through the eyes as if through tiny windows, fearing the world outside. We discovered that this little self, this lonely I, is no more than a mask, a role in a play. And behind the mask, why behind the mask is the entire theater, the stage, the lights, the script, the orchestra, the audience. All of it is you playing hide and seek with itself. And what a marvelous trick it is to hide from yourself so thoroughly that you can forget your true nature, only to rediscover it with a rush of laughter and tears. For what is enlightenment but a cosmic game of peekaboo? You hid, and now you see. And so, let me remind you of something very important. Life is not a journey with some grand prize at the end. It is a symphony. You don't play the symphony to get to the end of it. No one listens to Beethoven's Ninth and says, "Oh, I can't wait for the final note." That would be absurd. No, you listen for the play of notes, the rise and fall, the silence between the sounds. Life is precisely like that. It is a song. And you are invited to sing along, not to rush to the final chord. The meaning, you see, is not waiting at the finish line. The meaning is now, in the laughing child, in the sound of rain against the window, in the pulse of your own breath. The tragedy of human suffering is that we forget the music and try to turn it into a race. We strain to arrive, all the while missing the very thing we came for, the dancing of the notes. And this is why, you see, the masters, the sages, the poets, they laugh. They laugh not because they mock life, but because they finally got the joke. They realized that there was nothing to get. Now, think for a moment of a dancer. A dancer does not dance to arrive at a particular spot on the floor. If they did, the quickest way would be to walk directly there. No, the dancer dances because the movement itself is the delight. So too with the universe. It does not spin galaxies into being because it needs them to arrive somewhere. It spins because spinning is its joy. You are not here to accomplish some divine checklist. You are here because the cosmos could not resist the artistry of making a you. You are its pirouette, its laughter, its brushstroke of color. But remember this, the dance always includes its opposite. The spin requires the stillness. The music requires the silence. The wave requires the trough. So don't imagine that to live in harmony means to avoid sorrow, or to escape death, or to outrun the shadow. To live is to embrace the shadow as the partner of the light, to hold both hands in the dance. Suffering only arises when we insist on clinging to one hand and rejecting the other. Think once more of the wave. The wave rises, curls, and crashes, and all the while it trembles, saying, "I must not end. I must hold myself together." But the truth is, the wave never ends. Its water was the ocean all along. When it falls, it simply returns to itself. And you, dear listener, are precisely the same. You are not something apart from this grand ocean of being. You are the ocean waving. And when you fall, you do not end, you return. So breathe. And in that breath, realize it is not you breathing. It is the cosmos breathing through you. And so, perhaps you wonder, what am I to do now? And the marvelous answer is, nothing in particular. Or rather, everything. There is no prescribed action, no secret key, no final step. The great relief of awakening is that life no longer needs to be conquered. You don't need to force it into meaning. It is meaning already. Just as a flower does not bloom with an agenda, you do not need one either. You are not a problem to be solved. You are a mystery to be lived. Try this. Tomorrow morning, as you step outside, don't name anything you see. Don't call it tree, don't call it bird, don't call it sky. Just look, just listen. Let the universe wash over you, without the filter of labels. You will find it is alive, shimmering miraculous, because you have stopped trying to make it fit into the tight little boxes of thought. So let me invite you now, the next time anxiety rises, see if you can notice it not as an enemy, but as a ripple in the dance. The next time sorrow comes, see if you can cradle it gently, like a violin note in the symphony. And the next time joy visits, welcome it, but don't cling to it. Let it pass too, for everything is part of the rhythm. Remember, you are not merely listening to the music, you are the music. Let us end, then, with this. You are a function of what the whole universe is doing. In the same way, a wave is a function of what the whole ocean is doing. You are not a puppet dangling on strings, nor a stranger lost in a foreign land. You are the land, the strings, the puppeteer, the play, the laughter, the tears. So when you suffer, remember, it is the universe stretching itself into form, into contrast, into dance. And when you let go, you realize that you were never separate at all. So go now, not with heavy commandments, but with curiosity. Look out the window. See the sky, the leaves, the people passing by. Hear the hum of life around you. Don't name it, don't judge it, just let it sing to you. For in the end, there is no end. Only the eternal music, the endless dance of energy. And in that knowing, suffering dissolves. Right here, right now.